Create, the show about art, with Franz, Sidney. Good morning everyone and welcome to episode 9 of Create. It's all about art and today you are here with me, with Franz, Sidney. And remember, you can find any information and articles about what I'm doing as a podcast and in my program as a clinical hypnotherapist if you go to my website, which is very simply franzsidney.com. Today I would like to talk to you about photography because it's such an important aspect of the arts, and everyone, since we are very young, we all have this chance to take photography as one of our hobbies, even more today because everyone can have a little digital camera. And even children are able to use a mobile phone and take photographs. So why not starting this amazing, beautiful and fun hobby, which for some of us can become a wonderful side hustle or even a full-time job. A long while ago, when I was a little bit younger, when you took a photograph, you had to go to a special shop and take the film and have it printed, and this was gonna cost money. But now this has been completely deleted. It doesn't exist anymore. It's a process that is used only by a few people who love using traditional photography. But for all of us, there is a chance of taking literally thousands of photographs. So there is no more the fear of making a mistake and committing to something. Because we can take a photo, look at it and say, no, this is not right, and we can shoot again and the conditions of light are the same. The subject that we wanted to photograph is still there. My interest in photography started when my parents donated a black and white camera, one to me, one to my brother, and it was back in Italy in the 70s, and we took very nice photographs. They were very interesting and perhaps the beginning of a promising hobby for me. And for many years I took photographs of everything I could see, and with the help of my parents I got funds for printing those photographs. And I don't know what it was, but there was something about what comes from a photograph and looking at this beautiful world that we have around us and maybe focusing on one particular subject. In fact, by the age of 20, I had a full set of lenses, zoom, wide angle, and all the rest, and tripods. But life took over, and eventually, after taking photographs for many years, and learning about composition and color because I was studying graphic design and illustration, there was a point when I pretty much stopped. And I only stopped for a couple of months because there were digital cameras and I had won one in a competition. It was a graphic design competition in the, I think about the year 2000. And so they donated me, because I have won this competition, a wonderful first version digital camera. I don't think it had a lot of pixels and the photographs were tiny. But it was really fun to use and I used it for many years. And then I realized I have completely stopped printing my photographs. I had basically got rid of all my old camera, my lenses, my tripods, and I realized I would just snap in lots of photographs, so I just needed focus, and it took me over 10 years to go back to this really big love for photography. And finally, about 3 years ago, I bought an older model of a Canon, a 5D Mark III, which was a historical camera, and is a full frame camera. So it allows you to have a really high resolution and really nice photographs, even if you're not very good. And I noticed when I bought a proper camera, I've got completely a different approach, and I was really on fire because the results were a lot better. And now I'm very happy to say I have a lot of fun with my photos. I go around and spot maybe a dead bug in my conservatory or even a dead butterfly, and I love taking photographs with my macro lens. It's something about looking at all the little details that I have not noticed when I was just shooting, and also playing with light and see what can happen. So there are lots of angles that I like, and sometimes I also like doing focus stacking, which is to add the photographs on top of one another and only keep the part that is completely focused, because with certain lenses you are not able to look at a very near object and have all the parts of the objects in precise focus at all times, so you have to work in Photoshop. So nowadays using a digital camera can start from a very basic level and then go all the way to using Photoshop and Lightroom to really change the photograph to achieve something specific and to become pure art. However, it is important to know that it is not essential to have a full-frame camera or any particular software to do art. And that's the whole point of my podcast, is to show that photography is available to everyone. You can start very small and still have great fun to document what you're doing and to just capture the beauty or the ugliness or something striking that you want to remember in the future. It is also amazing that if you like drawing, for example, it is so useful to go and take a photograph of the subject that you're interested in and then really look at all the angles and start to study the light. There are many angles to learn photography. How would you get started if you have this interest? Well, there is so much. There are books that you can get for free in any library. You can go to YouTube and start looking at very basic lessons that are geared towards people who are just getting started. And also there is actually on Facebook a course called A Year with My Camera. Although the course is actually written AYWMC. And this starts, I think, in April, and there is Emma, a photographer, who runs this course. And I've done this course a couple of years ago, and I found it really useful because she takes you from a very beginning and shows you all the parts of a camera, how they work. She gives you weekly lessons. There is a large group they are following. And the important thing is that she takes you off the automatic settings pretty much in a couple of lessons. And that is a big thing with cameras, because a lot of people tend to take photographs always in automatic mode. And that is something that is kind of detrimental to your own growth. Although, of course, you can take amazing photographs in automatic. But if you want to take better photographs, you have to get off the automatic settings. Now you might want to know why. Well, I'm going to tell you very, very quickly why. Because a camera is designed to achieve 50% gray in the whole picture. So if you take a photo and half of a photo has too much light and half of it has not enough light, you are going to have a problem, because the camera will have to decide, what is my priority? What do I choose? So it's out of luck if you're going to get a good picture, but most times you won't. One typical example is to take a photograph of a person where the sun is right behind this person. Or maybe there's a photo of your favorite animal and they are just near a window. You take a photo and then you realize that this animal is very, very dark, and then the window is really, really white. So this is where you realize you need to get off automatic mode and understand how when there isn't enough light, the camera will compensate. And when there is too much light, the camera will compensate. But if you give both things to the camera cannot do the thinking. So you have to make a reasonable adjustment and decide, okay, my priority is to give light to this area, and so you have to expose in a certain way, or maybe add a different light or change position, or work with a certain priority in your camera. You have speed priority, for example, if you're gonna do something that goes really fast. So if you want to take a frozen picture of a cat that is running, you have to set up your camera using speed priority, okay? So as I was saying before, I would really recommend, if you want to get started with photography, but you are worried about understanding the technicalities of a camera, but you want to have fun, I would really recommend A Year With My Camera. Why? Because it's simple, it's completely free, you do not have to pay, and you can post your pictures there so people can help you to see from another point of view, and they are very encouraging. And it really is helpful to get moving out of automatic and get to learn a few things that are going to propel you to a much better future as a hobby photographer, or maybe in the future as I said before, a side hustle photographer, or even a full-time photographer, although this was never my dream and probably is not yours either. Another thing I noticed about the course is, if you want, you can buy the 2 books that are basically repeating all you have seen, but it's on print. And actually I have bought the books, so I don't have to go online to look for the information again. And as I said, they are not mandatory. And I should really call Emma and say, why don't you come to my podcast so we can talk about photography, because it's one of my favorite subjects. But anyway, it's a very liberating thing. You know, it's like finally learning that there is more that you can do with a camera. And it's so expressive, so you can use it for many, many different reasons and find so much joy. And when you want, you can share these images with the rest of the world. It is something about connection with the others, creating memories, expressing yourself. So why not start this wonderful world of photography, and maybe focus stacking, macro photography, or wildlife shots, and looking, for example, at social aspects with your camera. Go around and do street photography. The opportunities are out there to take photographs and to just have a little bit of time for yourself. It is extremely important that we find ways to relax, to calm down, to chill out, to find the scope for our lives, a different purpose, and to spend quality time with ourselves, with our friends, with our family or children. And even for many of us who have to homeschool, although I do homeschool anyway, but lots of people didn't have a choice, they were forced to. They might find in photography a very useful way of using their creativity, doing different things. And if you connect to the podcast that we had last time, so episode number 8, when we talked to Steve Young about photography, it is used for animation, so you can take your children out of doors or even indoors in a rainy day, take photographs of any objects you have in your house and create animation. So that's really endless. You can do so much with a camera. Now, we all know that some hobbies are rather expensive. For example, if you want to paint professionally, you have to use professional colors and canvas and have maybe a good place with lots of light, a studio. So there are a few restrictions if you are financially not allowed in that moment to invest in so much paint and color just to have a good relaxing time. So it's not for everyone. There are sometimes occasions when you just cannot afford all the colors on a long-term basis. But a camera, even in the form of a second-hand mobile phone, so maybe £50 and then you're done, it really is not going to ask you for any more money because you do not have to print anything, and you can just post your images on Instagram or on other websites, on social media, and maybe interact with other people. You don't even have to post them. You can just use them for your own joy and delight, and to maybe record the history of your own family and how your children are growing. So it is a way of doing quite a conservative hobby that is liberating for your mind, but also doesn't require an excessive investment in terms of money when you are getting started, at least. If you have already passed this stage and you're very good at taking photographs with your mobile phone, maybe it's the time to upgrade to a better camera. I'm not going to tell you that you need a full-frame camera straight away, although they can be quite good because it's quite an investment. But maybe you can have a different camera. You can ask, for example, in a photography shop, go there and have a nice chat. Have maybe a second-hand camera, a camera that is of good quality and that you can connect to very good quality lenses. Remember, if you have very, very bad quality camera and lenses, you cannot have really good results in the end. So ask the people there. They're always so happy to help. It works better than the internet, to be honest. Ask what they have and ask yourself some questions. Could I, for example, be able to go out with all this gear? Because photography gear can be rather heavy. So if you are a minute person that doesn't like carrying weight, there is no point in buying a heavy camera that is 1.5 kilos and you can't even carry with a lens. So my advice is to be really practical and think, am I going to be happy to have all this equipment, to carry the equipment in the car, in the train, wherever I'm going, so that I can develop my hobby. If you don't want to do all that, just buy a very small frame camera of very good quality. You do not have to buy the newest mirrorless cameras. You don't have to spend thousands of pounds, but do get maybe one macro. I prefer the Sigma 105 for my Canon. Then you get for the zoom the 7200 because there is the lens that does everything and it gives you an amazing bokeh. And then you want a normal 45mm, which is for your portrait, and you want a wide angle of your choice. That's really it. Usually the kit lenses are only good for beginners, so you will not get much quality because their glass type will not be the perfect type for very, very good photography. However, as I said, if you are going forward, buy one lens every year and get better. And always look on reputable websites or a very good eBay seller for the lenses, making sure you have all the warranties, the guarantees, that the product that you are buying is in a sound condition. And now I wanted to have a word about courses. I've already talked about a year with my camera, and there are, of course, many courses that you can take. And it might be good if you have no idea about compositions, color palettes, or understanding about the light, what is cold, what is warm. If you want to know more about the camera, you have to find a really good course, but you do not have to. A lot of people that are very, very well-known photographers, they have never done any professional photography course. I have done 1 year of photography and one of cinematography when I was doing my design school in Milan many, many years ago. And although we did learn how to develop and print the photos using all the acids, we didn't do as much as I was hoping. We didn't understand the camera as much, even after a whole year. While later on, it was really trial and error, looking at books, experimenting, taking notes, etc. And one of the sites where there are so many videos is Adorama. I mean, wow, you can learn so much from Adorama. There are also specialized sites, for example, the Stara Leisure, when you're more advanced and you want to do effects, But why should you go there in the beginning? In the beginning, you want to understand this machine, how it works. Until you get how to work with a light, you will not have the results you're looking for, because it's really painting with light and looking from a different angle. It's not about a picture of flowers and how pretty they are. You want to really look at the story behind the pictures and really capture the light in a way that makes sense to you and gives a message to the person that is looking at your image and wants to connect with it. So yeah, that's my thought about courses, really. In the next episode, we will talk more about photography, and I have the next, number 10. It will be talking with Kelly Bryan, who is a photographer and who has done 4 years at school, so at college, studying photography, and you will see that there is a different type of learning when it's academic learning. So maybe about 50% of your time is devoted to writing essays and not to be out on the street doing photography. So there are lots of different ways, and also ways of using photography as a part of your career, but maybe writing about photography. So there are many aspects of this, but I just wanted to focus today on just taking the photos, the joy of capturing a really interesting, strong, sad, or very happy moment, and remembering this, because when you look at those photos after many years, you are reminded of all these events that were in your life and how beautiful that you spent a minute just to capture that moment for you. Whatever is your choice regarding photography, just get started. Go now and look up for some YouTube tutorials, trying to see people that you can follow and understand. Look at the photographs of people that you like and start asking yourself, how did they do this? Where did they put the subject? Can I do something similar to this or different? Can I do it better? How can I change this to make it more happy or more dark? Can I make it more stressful? Can I make it more energetic? So ask yourself questions. This is the best way of learning. There is also something called a very low self-esteem, which sometimes creeps up. I mean, yes, I can hear you, okay? There will be a lot of people who are a lot better than you at doing photography. Their photos are amazing, so you look at them and you might be thinking that you can never be as good as them, so there is no point in even starting. But, this is not the right approach, because there will always be somebody that can swim better than you, draw better than you, cook better than you, but this doesn't mean that you cannot enjoy yourself, the sport, the hobby, the passion that you want to undertake for your own happiness. And when you're happy because you're doing something creative like photography, your whole mental wellness is improving and you're more vibrant, more relaxed, and you're less prone to become stressed up and to be angry with people because you're doing something creative. So give this break to yourself and shut up that little negative committee that is always chattering in your head and saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, you are not good enough. Just tell them to be quiet, because they really deserve to get off your life, don't they? Remember that when you are picking up a camera, the joy is for you to use that camera. Think about it as a child that is going into the sea. At 5 p.m. in the afternoon, it's been a hot day. He just jumps inside the sea, starts splashing, jumping, splashing the water on the other people, looking down, looking if he can see his feet, jumping in, coming up again, screaming in delight when a little wave comes over. He's not worried about maybe an adult that is swimming around and is doing 100 meters in 30 seconds. He doesn't care. He's having the time of his life. And you shouldn't care either. There are and there will always be people who are fantastically good at photography, art, dance, and everything else. This does not and will not have any impact on the fact that you can enjoy your hobby. You deserve it. So looking back at what we have discussed today, if you wanted to start this new hobby or to revise it and take it back into your life, the next step is to look up maybe online and see which course you want to take or which group you want to join, and ask questions to everyone how you're going to find these courses. Not all of them are pay. Obviously, when you pay, you have a step-by-step process, you have mentoring, you have help. but you do not have to do paid courses in the beginning if you don't want to. The second course that I have suggested, it was a year with my camera, and the photographer Emma is very, very good, so I do recommend that you check her out. I have suggested that if you are already quite good with photography, I have suggested what type of lenses to go and buy and where to discuss which type of lenses you want. And there are lots of groups on Facebook, for example, where you can go, and I did tell you to go to Adorama that talks about photography and maybe also cinematography, but I can't remember, sorry. I'm absolutely eager to see all the photographs that you take. If there is something you want to share, you can come to my group, which is on Facebook. If you follow my profile, there is a group there called Create with Franz, and I'm always welcoming people who want to share art with us for the sake of doing it and to learn from one another and to enjoy this part of our life, which is to look at images and enjoy the colors, the textures, the feeling, the connection, and everything else that comes with photography. So it's time to close this episode. This was episode 9, and we've been talking about photography. And if you want to find out more, go to franzsidney.com. And also you can share and subscribe when it comes to my podcast episode, so that more people can learn how to put art back into their life and feel more fulfilled and maybe reawaken the artist that has been dormant in them for so many years. So until the next time, thank you very much for listening, and bye-bye. This was another episode of Create with Franz. It's all about art.